What is going on, busy bariatrics? Merry Christmas to all of my bees who celebrate, and for everyone else, thanks for tuning in on this Thursday, December 25th. I hope you are enjoying the holiday without face planting into the cookie tin, and welcome to episode 52, where we are talking about the week everyone else wastes. This is the week where most people stop tracking, they stop moving, they really stop thinking, and they start to convince themselves that January 1st is some kind of magical reset. Hopefully, this episode gives you an idea of why we don't want to do this, but before we dig in, could you please do me a favor? Yes, I know it is the week of the holidays, but even getting this episode out and sharing it with a friend, taking a screenshot, tagging me, and putting it out there helps the bariatric world know that you're done waiting for motivation to magically show up and that you are really enjoying this holiday season. So please do me a solid and do that. So we get in, I really want to talk about how I used to spend the week between Christmas Eve and New Year's Day. And this used to be like a total lawless, savage land where it was a complete nutritional purge. It was a full stop on every habit I swore I was serious about. So I would stop tracking. I would stop trying to count calories. I would stop trying to eat restrictively, and I would justify it with cute phrases like this was the last week of freedom, or I'm going to start fresh on January 1st. I need to get it in before the new year. And then some years I would even do this deal where I would turn it into let's just get together during the week between Christmas and New Year's because as a teacher I have off, and I would line up to meet with different friends. And there was one year where I went out and I either drank or ate excessively the 5 days in between. So, from the 26th to the 30th, and then New Year's Eve. Obviously, you got to go out. It's New Year's Eve. And then New Year's Day, which in Philly and the tri-state area, we kind of make it a big deal. We have the Mummers Day parade, and then South Philly just turns into this whole area where it is drinking and street parading and just going into houses. And I remember one year, we had off, it was January 1st fell on a Friday, and this is when I was teaching in Philly Public. So it was almost like a free day because most of the times we go back to school on the 2nd. But this year it's I had 2 extra days to go off, and I started in South Philly at my one friend's house at 7 in the morning after going out all New Year's Eve. I think he pretty much was like, why don't we just wherever you finish New Year's Eve with whoever you're hanging with, why don't you come back to our place and then we will go out. So I brought 4 or 5 of my friends, and then we started right again the next morning and then went through, and I think we went out that Saturday too. But anyway, when you do that, it would lead to rolling into January 1st bloated, hungover, and sleep deprived, and my physique would absolutely look about the same. Fast forward through bariatric surgery, and when I look at it, bariatric surgery I had it in June, so July. So I was 7 months, and I think at 6, they started to allow you in my program to incorporate alcohol. And I was still tracking everything religiously. And when I was doing my end of the year look of that 7th month, I had consumed alcohol in one way, shape, or form 22 of the 26 days, because it was the day after Christmas. I had a bad workout, and I'm like, I really have not worked out well. And when I looked, it was 22 of the previous 26 days I had consumed some form of alcohol. And I'm not saying that of I was swinging from the chandeliers or even that I was on a bender, but it sometimes creeps in that way in your social life. It would be hey, let's get a beer after work. And then it would be let's have a glass of wine today, or there's leftover wine from the day before. Let's finish it today. So when I see a lot of people use the research of they only gain maybe 1 to 3 pounds during this part of the season, but some people gain 10 to 12, I think a lot of the times we don't realize that just including alcohol can kind of throw your metabolism off. It obviously throws your sleep and stress levels off, and can cause you to kind of shut down or hemorrhage stuff around it. That caused me to have a wake-up call where I did the next year entirely sober. And it was probably one of my better moves. I definitely had one of the best physiques during that time, and I slept better. I was less anxious. It kind of reminded me how I really didn't need alcohol either in my life. And it really helped me realize like I do not need to use alcohol as a reward for getting through the end of the week or doing anything. So just a simple thing, even just limiting the alcohol consumption you have between now and New Year's Day can play a big role, or just be intentional of what you want it to look like. Today, my relationship is complicated at best with alcohol, but it's better than it used to be. And then the following year, I kind of spent the holidays super restricted because I was finishing up my year of sobriety. I was like, I wanted to be as lean as possible. And I was probably pretty annoying to like friends and family members. I was trying to order separate things at restaurants, asking them like the oil limits and things. And it would really backfire because even if I went out to a restaurant, I would end up like drinking, but being like, I'm going to eat super clean, which is kind of like counterproductive if you're having alcohol. And then like, cause I would have maybe 3 or 4 drinks, my inhibitions would let down and I'd have like a piece of chocolate cake and half of someone else's canola. Which completely derailed everything. So now I just have a lot more balance with our movement and everything. And I want to share some things that really can do that for you. This year going in, it's a different year. I have to tell you, like the holidays are a little different right now for me. I tore my bicep in the summer, so I'm still gently working on rehab. So I am into the gym, but my gym is a huge bodybuilding and fitness gym, and everyone else has tripods. And there are a few IFBB pros that come through that gym. And then here is me with these like little tiny 5-pound dumbbells. And I'm trying my best to just hold my own and do my own. But at the same time, I'm really coming into my own and getting back to a level of comfort in the gym. I also lost my dad in the fall, which was incredibly hard, and just really putting my life back together with getting back into work. I was out of work the first 2.5 months, and I spent a lot of that time retooling the business, putting the podcast together. If you notice, the artwork is different on these episodes to kind of capture more of the bariatric journey. We help so many more clients with onboarding a GLP-1, using GLP-1s, putting their fitness and nutrition together with it, and really just putting the whole pieces together. And we wanted that kind of reflected more in the name because a lot of times we work with clients who have had bariatric surgery and people who have gotten GLP-1s. And both of those fall under the study of bariatrics, which is the study of obesity. So this is kind of like a little bit of a help. When I look at it too, January is super busy for me, and it's usually a very social, fun. So I have to be mindful of that, of why I kind of like the week before, like the 26th to the 1st to focus. The first week back, I actually go on silent retreat, which I'm sure there are people cackling if they hear this. The idea of me having to be quiet and listen to speakers and then reflect silently. But it's a really good opportunity. I get to go up to a place in the like right outside Philadelphia. I don't want to give too much away because I do kind of like being there by myself. I used to go with my dad and I go with a bunch of family members, but like this year, I feel like it's so important for me to reflect, get some things done. I will journal more that weekend than I probably will for the remainder of the year, but it's just a really good way to start the year, look at my goals and plans, reflect on what I wrote in my book the year before, and get everything. Second week of January, it's my friend CJ has his Man Fest where he kind of kicks his wife out of the house for the day. And then we literally watch the wild card game Saturday and everyone brings food and alcohol and we just have a blast. So like a simple way that I'm kind of like dialing that in so I don't get out of hand is I'm just deciding not to drink that day. So I will be the designated driver for my friends because it's over in Pennsylvania. And at this point in my life, like I can go one of these events without drinking. And if anything, it lets me really balance and just be present. And I'd like it a little bit better. Third week, we have men's retreat, and that is going to be in Orlando. If you are listening to this, there are probably still tickets available, so please go to Bariatric Society. If you are a man and you want to go to Orlando and meet with other bariatric men, I will be there. I saw some of the speakers. Corby Jackson, who is an amazing summer camp speaker, is one of the top presenters this year, as well as the Orlando Bariatric Group. Chris, who is a dear friend of mine, him and Narissa always put together the best events with Bariatric Society. I will say I have a lot of friends who put together events, so I shouldn't say best, but I'm always happy to see like when they're doing well, when Kelly and Mel are doing well. I was talking to Jamie, the sleep dietitian, about her event that she had in Connecticut. And I think it's good that we're all kind of finding ways to do these local events where people can hit. And then finally, the NFL playoffs. So January is pretty busy for me. So it's important that I ramp up all of this. As you think about like what you want your week between like Christmas, holiday break, and New Year's to look like, let's talk about a little bit of the psychology, the science, and the anthropology that really can help get you the results, or where you might even just want to talk about rewiring. So your brain really does run on rehearsal, and whatever you practice slowly becomes your default. So during work, I usually have a 2 scoop protein shake in the morning with my cold brew and then do that. But like during this week, I kind of retool it a little bit where I take advantage of the fact I can have hot breakfast. So it might be something as simple as I will make a batch of pancakes in the beginning of the week, and I will have like a half batch right before my morning workouts. I like to keep them early in the morning because the holiday afternoons are a little busier in the gym. So this is a really good time. And then I can lounge afterwards and it keeps me there. But having like a warm breakfast and take advantage of like eggs, some Canadian bacon, a little potatoes O'Brien, kind of lets me have that balance while still having pancakes as my pre-workout. If you put structure into place this week, there's a better chance that you're going to have a lot more structure going into the new year. If you practice chaos and just let things go with the flow and do whatever, there's probably a good chance you're going to continue that. So take this week to really do a practice run and align wherever you want. Psychology also shows that this is what we call the fresh start effect. And the best way for a fresh start effect to work, the idea of like you're having a hard reset on a calendar date, is actually if you have momentum going into the date. So for people who are kind of starting debaucherous during this week and then go into January 1st, from a psychological standpoint, you're more likely to go back into a bag of cookies or eat fast food because you've kind of spent the last week following that pattern. But if you've been working on tweaking it, honing it, it's almost like doing your warm-up lap before you do the actual running, or at least that's what cardio people tell me. But the idea is get the like time to really work on your habits and tweaks, because that's going to allow the fresh start effect to have a good hit. From an anthropological standpoint, you also have to understand that you are naturally moving slower this time of year. It is darker out, and humans traditionally slow down in the winter. From a survival standpoint, when we get into colder seasons, this is where we naturally eat more because our body wants to put on fat to offset the cold weather. And also, we move less because we don't want to burn calories. And if you look at your step goal naturally, it probably is dropped, not a lot, could be anywhere from like 500 to 1,000 steps, but it is enough that it could start to upset your caloric deficit or kind of mess with your maintenance. So really just keeping all of those together and tuned up allows you to kind of like work against what biologically you're saying. Also, you need to understand that like it's only about 6 to 7 days. But the idea of like telling your brain, like, hey, we're going to go hard this time of year, your brain knows you're lying to you. It just does. And from a cognitive distortion standpoint, if you try to be too strict this week, sometimes your brain just says, like, I know this is a lie. I know you are creating this false dichotomy. And because of this, I'm not even going to try. And if anything, I'm going to sabotage even harder. And that is a cognitive dissonance that says, like, look, if you're really trying to rehaul everything in your life this week, I'm going to shut it down and almost put the all call sign out for more McDonald's, Wendy's, or whatever you want to have. So the idea is like, just do gentle tweaks. Like if you're already going to the gym, keep the gym routine. If you're already eating breakfast and kind of have a pretty good schedule of eating, keep that going. If not though, maybe you pick one or the other to slowly work on and gently ramp up in January, because so many people start January and they treat it like they're sprinting through a marathon. And then they wonder why by like mile 2 or 3, they're ready to die at. So that's one thing that people can do is they get way too aggressive. The other thing you can see is a lot of people, just like I did previously, would use this as a cheat code to procrastinate. It's the idea that they want to just kick the can and say like, well, I'll deal with my health in the new year. I will deal with fitness in the new year. The gym's going to be crowded because everyone's home. I'll go to the gym in January. I'm taking this week off. And the problem is when you do that, you're kind of setting up your 2026 to look exactly like your 2025. And that may not be the best recipe for success. So taking some time to really build your boring habits of just, maybe it's even just keeping a calendar and saying, I'm going to keep these times to go to the gym, or I'm going to make sure that I wake up every morning at 8 a.m. Even when I had my bicep tear, something as simple as like I'm going to wake up and I'm going to put feet on the floor and have my first cup of coffee silently allowed me to not completely throw off this whole schedule. So when we look at the busy method and we see how can we get busy around this time from a habit building standpoint, this month really just taking like one or two habits and kind of anchoring them. Idea being like, look, if you've already been going to the gym and you're crushing it, good job by you. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't try to like go up like I'm going to do like a 6-day split if you were on a 3 or 4. Do what your coach recommends, no more, no less, and take the rest of the time for rest and recovery. From a nutrition standpoint, really try to take the facts over the feelings and track as honestly as you can just to get an idea of where you are in the surplus. If you notice you're going over on carbs and fats, which at this time of year you probably are, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, try something as simple as like eating some really high protein, high fiber, low carb, low fat meals. Not because we're trying to restrict carbs or fats, but if we know we're eating a lot of sugar cookies, your carbs and fats will show up there. So you'll probably balance out a little bit better and just lean into that so that you don't feel like you're missing out on Christmas cookies. But if it's just like a standard, like Toll House sugar cookie, hard pass. If it's a homemade cookie, like go and enjoy it. Again, from a staying active standpoint, they've done so much research and studies. And when I got to go to Finland for a summer, they really talk about how they keep mentally healthy. And a lot of it is movement in the cold. Something as simple as saying like, look, I'm going to do not necessarily a cold plunge, but a cold walk. So, like they always laugh like the hot girl walks in the summer. Maybe you do like a cold girl or a cold dude walk and just go around the block. Like get a simple block. You don't have to do like 5 miles out in the freezing, but if your weather allows it, get some cold breath in your air and just work on your breath work. Another thing is like maybe you don't start the car right in the morning, although you probably have to defrost it. But if it's in the garage, like just start the car cold and get moving and take that time for the car to heat up to do everything. For showing up for yourself, please stop trying to be a martyr during this week. You do not have to go to every cookie bake. You do not have to watch your brother's kids during this point. You do not have to do extra events. Maybe even just saying like protecting your peace or putting on the calendar of I'm using this time to get ish done. Like your issues or stuff that's good is there. Finally, the exclamation point of healthy dopamine. Taking some time to really just like find a new activity or holiday. Maybe it's like you go to the Christmas market or Christmas village, like in Philly, they have that, or you go ice skating, or take advantage of the fact like the art museum, like you can go on a Tuesday and just enjoy your time in the art museum indoors, just enjoying everything. Take some time this week to just practice all of those very lightly, but enjoy what you want to do. So some other tips that our coaches always give is to pick like 1 to 2 non-negotiables. It could be something of even during this week, no matter what, I'm going to hit my step goal and I'm going to hit my protein. You don't have to do all the things this week. Just pick 1 or 2 and say it's non-negotiable and then hold to it. Also, like, don't switch. Like, don't be that person who says like, well, I decided I'm going to switch it to keep my streak alive. Like, I hate that. Like, just admit you committed to something and either you can't commit or you move it. Moving the goalpost is like the quickest way that I see clients and people in the bariatric community. They like justify that they're just not committing to something. It's 7 days. Also, if you know you can't keep a perfect tracker this week, don't try to keep a perfect tracker this week. It's a bad week to do it because there's so many variables. Just say, no matter what, I'm going to hit my protein goal and I'm going to hit my steps, or I'm going to hit my workouts and I'm going to get 7 hours of sleep. Just pick 1 or 2 and just make it heck or high water. That's the deal. Second, take some time, maybe today when like everyone's doing everything else, really map out your week. And this is why like when we coach, we always take like the last week of the month to map out our event calendar for the following month, because then it gets really strategic. If you've done this correctly, you should be looking at this week and being like, here's where I'm meeting up with some friends. Here's where I'm spending some time with some family. Here's a day where maybe I'm shutting off and doing something for me. When people like put it to paper or put it on a digital calendar, it allows you to get everything together. Third thing you can do to really make this week work is keep your workouts on lock, but then do a greatest hits workout, maybe on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day. I always look at like the people who like I really hate the most are the people who like shun the people who go to the gym on New Year's Day, because I get it. It's a super crowded day, but for some people, this might be the day where they are starting or they finally committed to it. And you giving the snark or the loud comment of, looks like a lot of people I haven't seen all year, which someone did at my local gym. And I just gave them an earful 2 years ago because I used to be obese and I know it's not easy to go to the gym. And my clients sometimes struggle to go to the gym. And this might be the fresh start that they've been working on. And just because you haven't seen them, Steven, and yes, I'm calling you out, Steven, doesn't mean that they don't go. This might be someone who like normally goes in the afternoon and yeah, they're not here during our 5 a.m. time, but it's because now they have to watch their kids and their spouse is going to work. You just don't know their story. Also, if you are one of those slap people who show up on New Year's Day and are like shocked or upset that there's a lot of people on the gym New Year's Day, just plan your rest day around it. Some days I go, some days I don't. Usually I see where it lasts. Traditionally, it has more to do with whether or not I'm consuming alcohol on New Year's Eve. And I'm not saying like I'm swinging from the chandeliers, because at this point, there are no chandeliers to swing from. There are in our house, but it's a low-key day. Like, we do a one-word challenge where we paint a word for the new year into existence. And we really dial in on what does that mean. We have dinner as a family and we discuss it as we paint, and we do some traditions around that. But some years I have like a couple Manhattans and a little bit of wine with dinner because I make it as a nice day, and then I skip the gym the next day, or I just get on the treadmill and walk the next day. Other years it's like I don't really like even need to have those drinks, and even if I do, I'm not getting crazy. So it might just be that I'm lifting. It kind of depends what my lifting buddy Adam wants to do as well anymore, and I kind of let him decide. If he's like, I do not want to work out on the first day of the new year, we don't go. If he does, then we go. The fourth step, tighten like one nutritional behavior. So like you do not need to detox. This is not the time to like sugar purge. This isn't the time to punish because you've been eating bad during the holidays. There's no good or bad food. Take this time to just be reasonable and just tighten something up. And here's a simple one. Like, keep a clear plan for breakfast every day. If you're like going out to breakfast with people, just be intentional of like maybe get an egg white omelet. Like the joy for me is the fact that I'm going to breakfast, I'm meeting someone, I'm in my sweatpants, and someone else is cooking breakfast. So there's times I get pancakes. A lot of times I just get like an egg white, egg and cheese with bacon on a Kaiser roll. So like a bacon, egg, and cheese, a little bit healthier. And that's my deal. The other way, like you don't have to detox, and sometimes just add more. Like commit to, I'm going to have a fruit and a vegetable every day. And there's going to be people like, oh, well, I had like a fruit tart and there was fruit on top of it. Fine. That counts as your fruit. And then even if your vegetable is Brussels sprouts with a little bit of bacon, like who cares? You check the box and you moved it in. Most of you people, I'm going to tell you, like, you don't eat enough vegetables. And I don't know why we spend so much time focusing on everything else. Whereas if you just increase your vegetable intake, you're going to be fuller for longer. You're going to feel better. You're going to poop so much better. So many times I talk to people about constipation, and the answer is like, just please eat a vegetable. And they always give some racket as to why they can't eat vegetables. And then I'm like, okay, how about beans? Which I technically a vegetable, but like more of a high fiber. And then we go through things and it fixes it. You'll feel fuller for longer. Step 5, maybe you create a comeback script. Take some time to journal and reflect and really say like, okay, where am I doing well this year? Like celebrate your wins, but also where can I get like a little bit better? And then find something. Finally, for like step 6, just add a level of accountability can be another really good thing to do. Blatantly a shameless plug for us, hire us as coaches. January is traditionally like the highest time for fitness and nutrition coaches, although it's not. That is a big misnomer. From talking to other coaches and looking for studies, most people don't hire coaches in January. And I've seen young coaches almost freak out when they're like, oh, it's January, I'm going to have like 15 new clients. And the answer is you're probably not. January is a very good month of self-autonomy where a lot of people kind of come in and say, you know what, I'm going to do it myself. And then by January 20th, they realize, nope, I need someone else to help. And they bring some accountability in. But if you're listening to this episode, I'm kind of around this week. So you can always message me and we get you started right away to help you crush this week. But have some level of accountability that comes in. So when we look at it, you have to remember that your future self really does not care about your intentions. It really just cares about what patterns are you building. And the more you take this week to kind of practice some new patterns, the more your habits, patterns, behaviors can drive how you want this year to go. So when you take the outcome also out of that equation and really just focus on the habits, patterns, behaviors, you're going to stop living in your head and you're going to start living in reality. So this is the week to really rehearse it. So, busy bariatrics, we're getting close to the end of this episode, and you just need to know most people, and really even the average person, will waste this entire week waiting for January to magically fix their discipline. We have the data to show this. But if this is not you, start your 2026 before anyone else does. Take your power back with your habits, patterns, behaviors, show up early, show up often, show up aligned, and show up ready. Remember that you're not uncoachable. You just haven't worked with me yet. And as always, keep getting busy.